Osiris.
RootslandNation.com. We're your culture.
The Rootsland Podcast. Stories that are music to your ears.
I've got no time, but I've got some time to eat your story. Oh, take this veil from off my eyes.
Yes, Rootsland, we're back once again, lifting the veil. Yes, Sia, remember when I lifted your veil?
Oh gosh, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. And the beauty I saw underneath, that never gets old. Anyway, we got a lot of positive reaction from the last episode about the Kendrick Lamar-Drake beef. I was surprised.
I told you, Henry, our audience is hipper than you think.
Yeah, they are.
And you made fun of them that they were old?
Yeah, I may need to start a new show geared for the 55-plus crowd. Yeah, we can call it the hip replacement. Yeah, let's bring in Uncle Marty from Boca for some commentary.
Oh no, leave Marty out of this. I don't want Marty to replace no hip.
Sia, it's just the name of a show. It's not actual surgery. Well, Sia, as you know, there's another story that's blowing up the internet. Social media. Exploding right now. Not only in Yard, but abroad. Dancehall artist Adidja Palmer, known as Vybz Kartel, was recently released from prison.
It was a moment skeptics and haters thought would never come. Exonerated dancehall music superstar Vybz Kartel released from prison. Now he's free and free to speak, and he's talking only to Fox 5 News in this exclusive first interview. First of all, how are you feeling?
The feeling of just being free is an amazing feeling. Lisa, it's so surreal. I have to pinch myself just to see that I'm awake.
The world boss is now a free man.
Yes, he is. My socials are blowing up. Everybody's excited.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they are.
Especially my friend Chantel. She can't stop talking about free world boss. Going on and on about him.
Oh, you mean Chantal, that big phony friend of yours?
Oh, Henry, don't start.
Bandwagonist. Does she even listen to him? What does she even know about Vybz Kartel?
Henry, stop.
Well, does she think he's innocent of the murder?
Oh, Henry.
Or not?
Didn't you know Vybz Kartel when you worked with the twins?
I know him a lot better than Chantel does. Believe me.
Leave Chantel out of this, please.
Okay.
Where are you going with this anyway? You're not doing an episode on Vybz Kartel, are you?
Oh, you know I have a lot to say on this subject. It's relevant to the show and it's relevant to reggae.
You better be careful. People love him. Kartel is very popular, especially in Jamaica.
Hey, if you want, I'll go on the record and say that the opinions expressed on this episode belong to me, Henry K., and in no way represent my co-host, Sia. Does that make you feel better?
Perfect. Yes, leave me out of it.
Okay, Sia, you can step out of the studio and I'll rant for a few. Give you a little plausible deniability. I'll tell you when I'm done, okay?
Sounds good. Everyone, you heard that disclaimer, right? Henry, I can't believe you're so surprised with everybody's reaction to Vybz Kartel being free. I'm not surprised.
Oh, believe me, nothing surprises me anymore. Especially when there's money to be made. The narrative begins, everyone climbs on board. The media, record labels, promoters, journalists groveling for interviews, fellow artists lining up to get a Vybz Kartel feature on a song. What's the term they use nowadays to describe people on social media?
What's that?
Oh yeah, followers.
Oh yeah, so true. So true.
That should have been the first clue on how we've become so conditioned to be reactionary. No one takes initiative anymore. I'm not 100% sure on what he was before his incarceration. But Vybz Kartel came out of prison, a product, a commodity, being led around by his Turkish fiancé and handler, Sidem Ozturk, documenting every move on TikTok and YouTube, from morning kisses to afternoon yogurt. His story is being revised, amended. Vybz 2.0 will be marketed, commercialized, hailed as a conquering hero like his colleague Buju Banton, still in the midst of his own victory tour, a full 6 years after his release from U.S. federal prison, after serving a decade for conspiracy to possess and intent to distribute cocaine. Like with Buju, fans will flock to see Vybz Kartel, and all transgressions will be forgiven. I find it so interesting that some of these same influencers, celebrities, and activists that are the most outspoken and overjoyed with Kartel's release from prison, the Drakes, Cardi B's, and Nicki Minaj's of the world, you know, the ones taking selfies in their free world boss crop tops, aren't these the very same people to post about standing up to hatred, intolerance, genocide, and how Black Lives Matter? Really? Every black life? Well, how about Clive Lizard Williams? That's the black man that Vybz Kartel was convicted of murdering. A brutal and merciless killing that was captured on audio and video. Yes, and it's true, he's free from prison. The judge screwed up, bigly, which is really more a statement about the inept Jamaican judicial system than of Mr. Palmer's innocence. The Privy Council of the UK, which, by the way, who even knew has final jurisdiction over Jamaica's legal process, decided there were serious irregularities that occurred during the course of the trial. Just the run-of-the-mill everyday bribes, jury tampering, illegal evidence. Not sure if that's irregular for Jamaica, but nonetheless, ordered the convictions of Kartel and his co-defendants quashed, and the question of whether there'll even be a retrial remitted to the Jamaican appellate system. Surprise, surprise. The prosecution decided it's just too expensive to retry the case, and impossible to find a jury pool who had not been influenced or tainted by a decade's worth of opinions and misinformation disseminated on social media by these same celebrities and bloggers. People more interested in being part of what's trending than what's truthful. I wonder if they even know what side they're on. These are strange days indeed. You need to choose your murderer wisely. So Rootsland fam, if you're all caught up through season 7, you'll know in 2004 I moved back to Kingston to work with the underground dancehall duo Twin of Twins, a group that was the brainchild of Grammy-nominated DJ-songwriter Patrick Curly Locks Gaynor. Curly broke into the business as a ghostwriter for Rodney Bounty Killer Price, the warlord, self-proclaimed poor people's governor, an iconic Jamaican DJ with a thunderous voice and battle-tested lyrics that fired like bullets, many of which were loaded in the gun by Curly Locks. And the young twin wasn't the only aspiring artist to cut his teeth as a wordsmith for the warlord. An ambitious rising DJ named Adidja Palmer, Vybz Kartel, stepped up and offered his services as a hired gun for the killer. The first decade of the new millennium marked a turning point, or should I say rude boy awakening, for dancehall music's traditional hierarchy. And there at my humble studio in Red Hills, perched above the Kingston lights, I would bear witness to this crossroads. A transformation from the old guard to the young guns. Nothing more symbolic than Bounty Killer's former students and songwriters, themselves becoming teachers. Curly Locks and the Twins, with their off-brand gangster comedy and social commentary, would climb to number 1 on Jamaica's album charts with their record Crucifixion of the Ghetto. It would remain at the top of the charts for over a year, only to be knocked off by their follow-up album, Resurrection of the Ghetto. Vybz Kartel would adopt the moniker Addy the Teacher, would begin his reign as the island's most dominant, complicated, and divisive artist of the era, switching like a chameleon from lyrics full of raw, unapologetic sexuality to songs with incisive and insightful social commentary. Kartel, the Twins, Idonia, Busy Signal, Bugle, Turbulence, Movado were part of a new class that gained notoriety during the early 2000s, the outcome of a populist revolt against Jamaica's mainstream music establishment. At the time, there was an orchestrated and systematic fight against authentic ghetto culture. The passage of laws allowing police to lock off street dances, selectively enforced in the inner city communities, the fining and even jailing of artists for violation of obscene language laws. Of course, these only applied to ghetto singers and DJs. Then there was the blacklisting of entertainers, the cancellation of their work permits and travel visas, leaving some of the island's top talent unable to perform outside Jamaica. Need I even say where those artists came from? Vybz Kartel's ascension to the throne was as fitting as it was predictable. You see, these same political elites and business leaders that mismanaged the economy, failed to provide for the island's poor and vulnerable population. Those were the very same gatekeepers charged with running Jamaica's music industry. It was just a matter of time before there'd be a backlash from the public for having mediocrity forced down their throats, based on bottom lines rather than melody lines. And believe me, if the corrupt system could have held a solid grip on all the power forever, they would have. But something finally came to Jamaica, a few years after the rest of the world, to shake things up. The 21st century. That meant the internet, cell phones, cable TV, file sharing, downloading, bootleg CDs and DVDs on every street corner. Now an anxious public had instant access to everything, everywhere, at once. And all of a sudden the gatekeepers lost control to the gate crashers. Artists that had been bubbling underground and getting a fight from the mainstream media and corporate system had their opportunity to shine without having to compromise their sound or style. And no artist was better positioned to flourish in this ensuing chaos more than the great disruptor himself, Vybz Kartel. Both appalling and appealing at the same time. Being a master of marketing and manipulation, he knew the quickest and easiest way to the top was to get the teenagers. Get them quick and get them hooked. This was the same strategy employed by the tobacco companies to get young people started on nicotine. The use of friendly cartoon characters, colorful posters, catchy advertising jingles to market these harmless-looking, fruit-flavored vape cartridges that are in fact more dangerous and addictive than actual cigarettes. Kartel was well-versed in the art of seduction, especially to teenagers, calling himself a teacher, dressing at times in an innocent schoolboy uniform and backpack. His voice capable of shifting from smooth and seductive to a gritty street growl in the space of just one bar. It was raw and sexy, especially to teenagers and young people. This satisfying, intoxicating, defiant blend of the perverse and outrageous. Masterful lyrical wordplay, double and triple entendres describing graphic acts of sexual deviance, the objectification of women, the glorification of gangsters and gunmen. This was audio candy for kids. Messages that were delivered on these blistering tribalistic beats, absorbed by the cerebellum, releasing dopamines that gave the same rush to a teenage brain as a giant 7-Eleven Big Gulp Slurpee. It was an instant high.
Cherry pies, cream puffs, ice cream, treacle tarts.
Treacle tarts and ice cream and all free.
Come along, Kitty Winky.
An easy target. Just offer them some sweets to come out of hiding, and then ensnare them in a butterfly net. Just like that eerie child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, who incidentally, Kartel shares other freakish characteristics with, such as his pallid and ashen complexion, which Kartel had even before going to prison, the result of his advocacy and use of a chemical skin lightening process, known as bleaching or skin whitening. Bleaching has a long and complicated history in the black community, with its roots in colonialism, racism, colorism. You see, the European colonizers, in order to divide the slaves and create a schism within their ranks, promoted the idea that lighter skin was superior, a concept that's still evident in modern-day Jamaican culture. When you break down the racial diversity in boardrooms, beauty pageants, the entertainment industry, it's still dominated by those with light skin and European features. Just take a look at the island's most successful international artists right now. Shaggy, Sean Paul, Shensia. What kind of message does that send to young, dark-skinned hopefuls? For centuries, this dynamic of promoting Eurocentric beauty only served to reinforce racist ideals and contribute to the insecurity of those with darker skin. None more vulnerable than teenagers, especially girls, who are already dealing with body issues. Right, Sia? Do you want to step in and say something here?
Well, I never bleach, but I understand why a lot of people bleach. Because growing up in Jamaica, it was always the brownings this, the brownings that, you know?
And explain what a browning is.
Brownings? which means light-skinned girls, just for the people that don't know what that means. Dark skin wasn't the preference.
For some people, it was.
So I feel like that's why a lot of people bleach, because they want to be eye valued.
Wow, that's deep, Sia. And so sad what they teach is high value. And when Vybz Kartel, an artist that had an incredible amount of weight and influence with the younger generation, was criticized for embracing the bleaching phenomena and confronted about the emotional and physical dangers of the practice, rather than backtrack in any way, use it as a moment to teach black pride to his young fans and about how their skin color is part of a rich cultural identity, he doubled down on his advocacy for bleaching. Kartel actually started his own line of bleaching products to peddle to his fans and followers, exploiting the anxiety and depression felt by so many of his fans because of their skin tone for his own economic gain. I guess that is a better business plan than actually offering people encouragement, confidence, or meaningful help.
Looking to Vybz Kartel to be a role model for your child and to grow your child, you have already lost as a parent. And that says a lot about your parenting. Vybz Kartel cannot take the weight of the world on his shoulders. Mm-hmm. And I refuse to do that.
But take one little piece, man.
No, I refuse to do that. Vybz Kartel is an entertainer. I get paid to entertain. This is entertainment. At the end of the day, when Vybz Kartel goes home, Vybz Kartel is a DJ Palmer, the father, the baby father, the citizen.
Vybz Kartel has stated time and time again that people should not view him as a leader or role model. And he says if young people turn to him for guidance, then parents have failed already. I find this to be very disingenuous, because Kartel is well aware that many of his hardcore following come from the inner cities, broken homes, have parents that work long hours, unable to fully engage with their children, not to mention the island's abundance of barrel kids, the name given to children whose parents are forced to work overseas to provide for their families, leaving their kids in the care of relatives, unable to give the full attention that a mother or father would. And regardless in this digital age, once a child gets to school, they're exposed to all the fuckery that parents try to protect them from at home. Is it any surprise that someone like Vybz Kartel wants things both ways? When it comes to his fan base and cult followers attending his shows, buying his music, spending their hard-earned money on the endless supply of products that he endorses and pushes on them, he is the world boss. The real thing. Expects blind loyalty, unconditional love and support for all his music and business ventures. Yet when it comes time to accept any personal responsibility for the negative impact caused by this unconditional love and support from his fans, he turns into Usain Bolt, makes a beeline for the Blue Mountains. All of a sudden he's just an entertainer, and it's all shtick, not to be taken seriously. What does he even think? His fans are picking from a Chinese takeout menu, where you get one version of Kartel when you pick a side order from column A, and another Kartel when you pick a side from column B. These are young, naive, developing minds. They have no idea how to separate the artist from the man. They buy into the whole persona, the whole bad boy gangster image. In fact, so much so, Vybz Kartel has actually instigated and incited violence on the Kingston streets when a lyrical battle with rival Sing J Movado got out of hand. Gunmen were actually shooting and killing each other over their favorite singers. And meanwhile, the artists? They were inside air-conditioned studios, recording songs to profit off the war. Since his release from prison, Vybz Kartel appeared on Jamaican television for an interview with entertainment reporter Anthony Miller, who asked the newly freed DJ about his relevance given that the musical landscape has undergone considerable changes since he was first incarcerated. Vybz Kartel boasted like a proud papa, and he said, "The current pack of tattooed, pierced, bleached out, slack-talking dancehall acts that run the streets right now, and the charts, are nothing more than Kartel clones, engineered from his DNA. And when you take a look, that may be true. But I'm not sure that's something to be proud of, or in the best interest of the genre. Since Vybz Kartel stepped onto the scene, right up to this current round of Kartel clones, Jamaican dancehall has been a disaster, from a commercial and international perspective. There have been no breakout crossover hits, no significant mainstream radio play, dismal sales and concert attendance. Billboard even eliminated the reggae dancehall singles chart and replaced it with Afrobeat. Other than Cartel himself, I'm not entirely sure who will actually benefit from a Cartel comeback. Artists like him will never go broke appealing to the worst and the most vulnerable parts of human nature. The part of us that wants to be cool, hip, accepted, part of the in crowd, even if it means bullying or picking on others. And while Vybz Kartel is getting rich, he's causing others to go bankrupt. And unfortunately, it seems the more you try to muzzle him, ban his music, prevent your children from falling under his spell, the more in fact you will empower him and give him ammunition for his fight. Kids always want what they can have. And Vybz Kartel is like that old sticky Playboy magazine or Penthouse forum that Grandpa tried to hide away by locking up in a steamer trunk up in the attic. But without fail, curious kids will always get their hands and eyes on something they're not supposed to see. And the only way to truly protect them is to prepare their hearts and minds for what they find when they do.
See, tell them already, we have to tell them again. Tell them already, we have to tell them again. Tell them already, we have to tell them again. Them a murderer. Them a murderer. See, them coming at me area, want to kill off the youth. No dress up in a jacket and them dress up in a tie. Come a courthouse, want to tell pale lies. Them a murderer. Tell them already, we have to tell them again. Tell them already, we have to tell them again. Cause them muggling at them cheap one, come kick out my teeth. Coming at them red one to lick off my head. Coming to my lane want to fly out my brain. Them dress up in a jacket and them dress up in a tie. Want to deprive I man from my rights. Them a murderer. Them a murderer. Watch them, watch them, watch them, watch them, watch them a come. Watch them, watch them, watch them, watch them, watch them a come. Them a vampire. Then we suck out your blood. Watch them, watch them, watch them, watch them, watch them a come.
Powered by RootslandNation.com. Listen to back episodes of the podcast. Stream original music. Check out the latest fashions. RootslandNation.com. We're your culture.